Welcome to another episode of Chargers Talk 4630. I'm your host, Stacey Mallory, and I'm joined by my co-hosts and friends, Garrett and Kyle D. If this is your first time here, we welcome you, and we ask that you follow this podcast by pressing on the subscribe button. It is free. This is not a paid subscription. This way, you'll be notified whenever we go on live or release the latest content. You can also follow and listen to us while on the road, at work, or even on your lunch break on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, Pandora, Deezer, and TuneIn Radio. You can also check out stormcloud.blog, which is run by our very own Kyle D, covering different Chargers topics. We are bringing you today's broadcast live on YouTube and X, formerly known as Twitter. If you'd like to follow us on X, for myself, it's at retiredin26997. For Garrett, it's at gman7887. And for Kyle, is at the Kyle D. That's D-E. All right, guys, we got a lot to talk about this week. And how about we start off the podcast talking about the Chargers' first preseason game against the Seattle Seahawks?
Chargers Seahawks, exciting. We finally get to see all the people that we've seen in camp go onto the field, play a real game. My boy Brendan Rice, obviously, I'm excited to see Kamani Vidal. Treeb still on the backside on this defense. It'll be an exciting game for sure. It's on a little late here, so I don't know. I never saw myself staying up until 1 a.m. to watch a preseason game, but I'm going to do it. So It's part of the fandom. It comes with the territory. What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm still fired up watching how special teams plays out. I want to see how creative we get in that aspect. I don't believe we hired anybody from the XFL to kind of help onboard our guys. I don't think any of that happened. So I'm wondering, this is a big test for Ficken. It's a whole new thing. It's a whole new vibe. So it's a really unique situation that I'm really excited to see play out. And I think the big question is, are we going to have one kick returner or two? Because that's two major different ways kick returns can be handled. So will we see Ladd back there with Darius Davis or how they're going to play it? But it's exciting. And then, of course, some of the position battles. It'll be interesting to see how much Jim Harbaugh plays the starters. Probably just a little sprinkle, if anything. Yeah. But, we'll see. I'm very excited for it, though, guys. What about you, Stacey? What are you excited about for the preseason game?
Well, I'm excited as well to see how the new special team rules come into play. And, I've been reading all the comments and the reports that I've been seeing coming out of camp about how the offensive line has been struggling. This has happened ever since Herbert stepped out. So I want to see them have a couple of really good drives and keep everybody healthy, because last week it was like kind of crazy. Every time I look up, the reporters are putting out there, he's walking off the field with the trainer. He's going off with a trainer. I'm like, my God, what's going on? The whole team is getting injured. But I like what I'm seeing on defense, though. This is exactly what I thought we would be getting the last couple of years under Brandon Staley. With the personnel that we had, that's what I expected. And to see them playing this well right now, I'm pretty happy about that.
And it seems fair to not panic yet about the injuries, except Justin's foot. Like that's a big deal. We want to monitor that. But if the staff just has a philosophy where if somebody gets banged up a little bit, we need to take them off the field, give them a little bit of rest, check them out. It seems like that was what it was more about last week. Really precautionary stuff for the most part, and that's okay. Sometimes we overanalyze when when these reporters are on the sidelines giving updates, which they need to do, but sometimes it leads to misinterpretations. So hopefully that's most of what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's just the scars of years past, I think, as Charger fans. We're just so used to anytime someone goes down, it's always like the worst case scenario. So hopefully that's what it is. It's an abundance of caution, is I believe what Harbaugh said. So like you said, Kyle, I feel a little tightness here. Okay, you're done. Let's take it easy. You don't need to play through it to further, injure yourself. So let's hope that's the case.
Yeah. I love the memes or the posts on Twitter going around kind of roasting some of the guys playfully, and like the reporters, like whenever a player would come back, they would do the was it Paul Pierce that was carted off during like a halftime or something like that?
Yeah.
Said it was an injury at first, but he was like, the rumor is he just had to go take a dump and then come right back.
It was actually the finals against my Lakers. And I remember that he hops off like the stretcher in dramatic fashion and sprints to the court, and it's like a movie. And I was just like, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. But I digress. We ended up losing that series, by the way. So that's it's a little.
Well, what do you guys think about the? I mean, a lot of people trying to read into what's going on when they hired this quarterback. Do you think that's trying to say maybe you're a little concerned about Justin, or is he just going to be a camp body, or maybe he might be able to beat out Max Duggan or Easton Stick, should I say?
High bar.
High bar. And the way Kyle says it. Listen, I like Easton Stick, and I think we all do like him. Yeah. Now, is he capable of in a pinch winning, going Cooper Rush? And I think, we saw the value of a good backup when we saw Dak Prescott go down, because I think we all thought the Cowboys were kind of doomed. And then would they go 4-1, something like that? But either way, they had a great backup situation. And if Luis Perez can come in here and do anything remotely close to that and actually run the offense the way it's meant to be ran, I mean, I think this is more of a backup situation. I know there's a lot of speculation that people think that Herbert's injury is more serious, and that's why they're bringing in. I think this is more an Easton Stick indictment than anything else. I think this is let's get somebody who can challenge for that backup spot, so Easton Stick isn't just a shoe-in, and actually, make them battle it out. Let's see who the better quarterback is. What about you, Kyle? What do you think?
I think it's a camp body plus. It's if there was a legitimate concern about Justin Herbert missing games or time, at least a substantial amount, maybe that I don't think they're gonna. Even though a lot of fans, myself included, would want him to rest week 1 or week 2, if that's what it would take. If you knew on the other side of that, he'll be much less likely to have flare-ups with that foot throughout the season. I think a lot of us would say if you got to take 2, 3, 4, even the first month of the season, and we're just trying to scrape by with a couple wins there before getting a fully healthy Justin Herbert back, we would take that. If we were in anything more than that, and probably honestly, if we were missing any games, we have the cap space to go out and get a guy like Tannehill, who has starting experience, would be able to bridge that gap for a little bit. And they didn't. They went and got a guy that, played in the XFL. And that tells me that Justin Herbert isn't healthy enough right now to be a camp arm. And they need somebody to give practice reps, because they need a certain amount of quarterbacks to run everything they're doing in camp right now, and that's Perez's role. If he does well, like we were joking, is the bar obscenely low for Duggan right now? Is he very, very replaceable? Absolutely. I think the only reason they brought Duggan on last year was to help onboard 2 receivers from TCU that he played with, and kind of be there for some of the familiarity. But yeah, I don't think I don't even think Perez is really threatening Stick's job right now. It'll be very, very interesting to see how Stick does, because even though we saw the Chargers at their worst last year against the Raiders, and during that stint where Stick was filling in for Herbert, that was a whole different offense. And Greg Roman's offense has proven to be successful for quarterbacks of Easton Stick's type, archetype. Not the best passers all the time, but guys that do very well when they have the flexibility to create with their feet. And that is Easton. He's not a guy that's going to drop back and go through some reads, at least not in his career right now. I don't see where he's in the future, but giving him that kind of some option work, some flexibility to roll out more, create with his legs, punish the defense if they all drop back and can't contain him. I think we're going to see the very best of Easton Stick. What that ceiling is, I don't know. I'm not out here saying I think he's going to do good enough or be, win half the games that he starts, if he does start any games. But we'll see the best of him, and that's what I'm excited about. I think we'll really see what his ceiling is.
Well, Garrett, 2 things I want to mention to you. I'm hearing a lot from the receivers about Joshua Palmer. We're hearing a lot every day about Quentin Johnston, Lad McConkey, Darius Davis, Simi Fehoko, and Brendan Rice, which they say Brendan Rice is really doing really good. He's really progressing. But there's one guy that I thought was pretty decent coming out of college, and we haven't heard anything about Cornelius Johnson. Have you heard that? I haven't heard anything about Cornelius Johnson.
Yeah, I haven't. I think just various fans posting clips and it's like one-on-ones or whatever. I saw him. He got a pretty decent catch, but like in terms of reports or how the coordinators are going up and they kind of gush about a certain player here and there. I haven't heard anything about that. I even in returning duties, I thought that maybe he'd try to earn a spot. Like to Kyle's point, if we have two receivers back there on the new kickoff rules, he could be one of those guys because that's what he did at Michigan. So maybe it's a depth piece, but nothing on my end anyway. I don't know, Kyle. Have you heard anything?
No, not yet. Like you said, Rice seems to be doing well. Even Chark's been turning a good amount of heads. Darius Davis catching some deep passes is great. Getting as much out of him as we can is wonderful. Cornelius Johnson's probably going to be, like we were saying last week, for the last couple of weeks, a guy that trickles right through the waiver wire system and just rests nice and comfortably on our practice squad. And we'll still probably get 4 to 6 games. We're already seeing it with Joshua Palmer having these knee issues, right? Getting a little worrisome there. So we've got insurance, guys. We've got some depth for the first time, and that's something to be celebrated for sure.
And the last two that I want to look for in preseason, haven't heard anything about Alex Leatherwood. I think we're going to see him in the preseason a lot. And somebody that I picked the Chargers to snatch up as an unrestricted free agent, they did, Carson Barnhart. I'm looking forward to seeing those two guys. Carson was with Michigan, right? He was undrafted. I liked him as a guard, and I think the Chargers snatched him up, and I want to see how he's doing. Go ahead, Garrett.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So I just found it. So they had a camp report yesterday, and Barnhart's been working with the third unit. It's been from left to right, it was Leatherwood, Carson Barnhart, Bucky Williams, Lang, and Tyler McClellan. Okay. So Barnhart's been working in with the third unit. Okay. And Leatherwood, actually, just a little tidbit, was Greg Roman was asked about him, said he's doing well, but he has flexibility to play at guard. So they're talking about him, and that's going to be pivotal when it comes to keeping your O-line on that 53-man. Yeah, him having that flexibility to go from tackle to guard is going to be huge for us. So,
well, since he's been in the league, he had struggled as a tackle, but he has shown flashes of what he can do blocking as a guard. So I think that's more of a natural position for him.
Absolutely, he's a big body for sure.
That's a common theme with a lot of our offensive linemen right now. We've got a lot of guys that have that kind of versatility, which is nice to see. Yeah, I am ready to overreact on our first preseason game. The first time I see Trey Pipkins not hold up in the interior, I'm ready to throw a fit. I'll be unreasonable and irrational.
Our season's over.
Yeah, but I'm going to be looking.
I'm going to say. I'm really excited about Christian Fulton. This guy's been playing out of his mind. Every time I turn around, another pick. So I hope this carry over into the season. That'll be a big addition to this defense if Christian Fulton is what we see right now.
Absolutely. I think that between Christian Fulton, our defense in general, watching that joint practice against the Rams, I'm sure everyone tuning in has seen the highlights, but if you haven't, go check them out because our defense, the one thing I noticed, we've all seen the plays, I can gush about everything, tipped balls at the line. Yeah. I have never seen so many tipped balls coming from our defense. And we know what that does because for some reason, Herbert last couple of years, he's been getting his balls batted at the line. And we know the outcomes of this stuff. So, I mean, that's a 50-50 ball anywhere on the field. If you're in the right spot at the right time, there's an easy pick. So I hope this translates to games because we know the value of turnovers and what that can do for a team. So if that translates, that's going to be super exciting.
Fulton's one of those guys, Stacey. I mean, it's a great call out because he had the pedigree, second round pick. He's got the talent. He's one of those guys that we picked up that was about as low in value for what he has been as he could be. And if he does turn it around in one season, his market value is going to go right back up. That's another potential comp pick for us down the road. But man, I mean, if you were to ask us in spring, what is this defense going to look like if Fulton turns it back around and gets to his full potential and you have two studs on the outside now, that's the best case situation, man. That's beautiful. So hopefully that ends up working out for us. Be a boon.
Yeah, I'm looking to see all those guys. I mean, this is what I've been waiting for preseason, because now you get to see Justin Boykby. You get to see how these guys fit into this defense. And I haven't heard much from him neither, but I think we're going to see a lot of these guys in preseason, though.
Yeah, I think that we'll see our draft picks come in there, our defensive side especially. I know that, and like Harbaugh said, it's going to be case-by-case basis for the starters, but I'm sure we'll see glimpses of what's to come in terms of our draft picks and if they're going to be promising on the field.
Somebody wanted to mention something about J.K. Dobbins.
So just real quick, we were talking about our running game, and we have Gus Bus back there, and we got J.K. and we got Kamani. I just wanted to do a quick little dive into him, and I saw his yards per carry, and it stuck out to me. And 5.9 yards per carry is good for third in the NFL in terms of history, behind Michael Vick and Birmingham. Which is absolutely insane. Obviously, these are quarterbacks, so their yards per carry is insane. Yeah. They don't have the minimum carries, and neither does JK, because to get in those statistical categories, you have to have a ton of carries, and JK clearly has not had that. But if he can even do like a 75% of what he's been doing, and he's not being required to be the workhorse back, I think JK can have a really, really special season. And Kyle and I are big fantasy guys too, so this isn't a fantasy plug at all. But that kind of value, that kind of workload where he gets to play behind Gus, and then there's also Kamani. If you have a true three-man rotation, JK on fresh legs can be absolutely devastating to defenses. We've seen it in the practice that his breakaway speed is still there. I don't know what healing magic he had or whatever he went through in his rehab, but to come off an Achilles and have that edge to break around the edge and have burst is absolutely awesome to see. So I have nothing but high hopes for him.
We just don't want to see a Cam Akers situation, right? Where it tires out, where it doesn't quite hold up. It comes out strong at first, and then I to be honest, I don't know why that happened with Cam. It looked like Cam was all the way back, but then rumors that he may have rushed it back too soon. He definitely tapered, and then just kind of like when Thanos snapped his fingers, just disappeared into the wind. So hopefully that's not the case with JK. Dude looks like he's built like a brick house. So hopefully that muscle can hold everything together, and he can plow on through. But it's probably also good that we have a heavy rotation for him to keep him, keep him healthy. So fingers crossed on JK, because that would be a boon. It's one of those, like with Garrett talking about fantasy. That's how it always was with the Ravens, right? It was, hey, they have a devastating offensive line. Which one of these running backs is going to take off and be, a top 10 back in the league just by being, the Baltimore's go-to guy. That's where we're at right now. No one really knows what's going to happen. I've seen it posted on Twitter X, the number one crystal ball question this year might be who's going to benefit from Greg Roman's wreck and the Chargers offensive line. And we don't know yet. It could be JK. Could be all. We'll see.
Yeah. I know they're big on Jarrett Patterson. I know they're scouting. I heard them talking.
I was going to drop his name.
Yeah, so, I mean, Isaiah Spiller might be the one out. If Jarrett Patterson continues and that spills over into the preseason, man, he may have played himself into a position right on the roster. So, Garrett, it's something about Joe Alt you wanted to discuss.
I love me some Joe Alt. I also love me some Malik Neighbors. And there is a world where you can like both players and not regret the pick that we have.
Right.
You are allowed to say, hey, this receiver looks really good. One thing you have to understand, the offensive tackle position is not a sexy position. Yes, the wide receiver gets all these clips. And, Dan said that Neighbors is probably a lock for offensive rookie of the year. And that's coming from an opposing team's coach that just had a joint practice. I mean, he went 17 for 18 targets with the Lions. And he also started a fight. Like this man, he said it's a combination of Jamar Chase, Jefferson, with the personality of Odell Beckham, is what Dan Campbell said. And we know Odell Beckham. So I just think that there needs to be – the cooler heads need to prevail in this situation. Malik Neighbors is getting all the highlights, all the hype. What tackle is getting hype in camp? We're already protecting the quarterback. So no one's really truly trying to run back right away. All prove himself on the field. And when we see Herbert back there for 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, not under pressure, and he gets to have that clean pocket and throw a deep ball, we're going to be grateful because those receivers are going to get open. We don't have Malik Neighbors. It's not going to be exciting. But we don't know what Ladd McConkey can do, right? We haven't seen him. Yes, he's kind of dealing with injuries right now, but if he's half the athlete that Malik Neighbors is, we are going to be happy with that because we also have DJ Chark who's been making plays. Josh Palmer, if he can stay healthy. We have Brendan Rice who's up and coming. We have a room that we didn't need to use it, our 5th overall pick on a wide receiver. We took it on a lineman to protect Herbert. We wanted Jim Harbaugh to come in to protect Herbert, to run the ball, to build the trenches. We knew what we were getting when we got Jim Harbaugh. So to sit here and act surprised and upset that Malik Neighbors is going nuts, we all saw the film. We knew he was going to do good. He's allowed to do that. But we also have Joe Alt, and we're protecting our guy, Justin Herbert. And that's all I want to say is, like, I don't like seeing the people out there that are just retweeting all these Malik Neighbors catches and one-on-ones, which is a receiver favorable drill. So it's like, yes, you can like Malik Neighbors. He's going to be amazing. He's incredible. Again, fantasy plug. But Joe Alt is also he's shown flashes. Anyone who comes in and does beat writers, people that are coming from all over the NFL, has said Joe Alt, his pad level, the way he can get down and meet people. He's 6'8", he can get down to 6'2" and bully people. That's amazing to have on the right side when you have Rashawn on the left side.
That's well said. You said it well, man.
There's gonna be a temptation to overreact with Joe Alt. People have to remember that offensive line, man. These kids are young, and it's not a position that you're winning with speed, agility. You're winning with strength, and that takes a little bit of time to come in. Like, even though Joe Alt's a big body, man, and he's got this huge frame, and he looks like a Greek god of football. There's more man strength that's going to settle in a little bit, as these next couple of years come in, and his body kind of solidifies, and he gets himself where he needs to be. And he, the level of competition with Notre Dame wasn't as high as it could have been in the last year, year or two. He wasn't seeing the consistent challenges week in, week out that he's going to see with the Chargers. And there's been plenty of linemen, like Eric Fisher comes to mind, that started out rough in year one, but you give them time and let them develop and let them grow into themselves. That'll happen with Alt, regardless of how this year goes. So that would be my warning. Like, don't look for him week one and be like, oh my gosh, he's ready. Rashawn Slater was an absolute anomaly, and it'll be nearly impossible for us to ever replicate that again. Enjoy that for what it was. Let Joe Alt be something different. And piggybacking on what you said, Garrett. Yeah, maybe if we had gone with a different pick in round 2, there'd be a little bit more opportunity for buyer's remorse, but we wouldn't have gone and gotten Ladd if we had picked up Neighbors. No. And I would take the Alt and Ladd combo over any sort of matrix of options that could have been there with Neighbors and somebody else. Yeah. So that's what I think people need to remember. If you wanted Neighbors, every time Ladd takes off and does something really freaking cool this year, just know that that's what you're replacing. You're not replacing the guy that's bookending on the offensive line.
You're right. I think we need to stop overreacting. I mean, what you're seeing with Alt, one of the good things about Alt is he's going up every day against Dupree, Tui Tulopu, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa. That's going to make him better. It's easier for a receiver to run out there with the shorts on and catch. And there's no shade on Malik Neighbors at all. I think Malik Neighbors is going to be pretty good, and that's all going to depend on how Daniel Jones do. Let's see how they look when they, put the pads on in the regular season, and let's see what Malik Neighbors does against some of those defenses when he go up against Philadelphia, when he go up against Washington. Let's see. Right now, you can't really tell just running around, making the catches with the shorts. And I love the pick with I hear all the things that Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack say, and they showing him, they giving him everything, a lot of things that he's going to see when he go up against a Max Crosby or whatever. So I expect people to calm down and relax a little bit and just embrace what we have. Malik Neighbors is good for the New York Giants. And Alt, we're going to embrace Alt, and we believe he's going to be great for us. And that should be it, Yeah. I got a little rant that I want to do really quick. And I I said a lot in earlier podcasts about injuries, and I was worried about injuries and having some time off before I came back last week. It made me change my thought process when it came to that. Here's my rant that I want to just get off my chest. Imagine, and this is based off of me talking with Charger fans, and they're telling me about the injuries is going to derail us. The injury is going to derail us. And I'm trying to tell them, hey, listen, man, imagine how much better the Colts could be with Anthony Richardson, who got off to a great start before he got injured. If Jonathan Taylor could stay healthy, imagine Nick Chubb with the Browns. That team looks totally different when he's not in that lineup. Think about Saquon Barkley. In my opinion, when healthy, he is the best all-around running back in the league. He's the only one that I see that could run with power, strong enough to run between the tackles, have the agility to make people miss an open field. He breaks a lot of tackles, making it hard to bring him down. He has breakaway speed, an animal if he could stay healthy. Breece Hall for the Jets, another guy who showed flashes of what he could be if he stayed healthy. Alvin Kamara. Now, I'm sure you guys agree with the nod of the head, because I want to continue on with getting my point across. I'm sure you could agree he's been a beast for the Saints. You guys will agree with that? Okay.
Oh, yeah, Kamara. Yeah.
Will it shock you to know that due to his injury history, he's never rushed for 1,000 yards in his 7-year career? What is your deal, people, with Joey Bosa? Is it because you think he quit on the team? Is this because you think he gets hurt too much, or is it because of maybe the meltdown that he had against Jacksonville in that playoff game? Or was it because he was sitting in the stands eating Fruit Loops when he couldn't play? I mean, you guys, you're better than that. And I hope, for me, September, when week 1 starts, will be my 47th year being a Charger fan. 47. So I'm qualified to say that. I don't have no beefs with anyone. It's hard to watch some of these shows. I go on and I want to be educated with some of these other shows and what they're talking about. And it's just this constant thing about Joey Bosa. Injuries is part of the game. We could say that about any team in the National Football League. If they could stay healthy, if this could stay healthy, well, you know, we've been able so far, knock on wood, to be able to avoid having a key player go down to the season. But we've had some key players on teams that's expected to contribute immediately go down for the season already. We okay. But I'm saying, guy, you know who you are. You better than that. And I hope you stop, because if you're rooting for him to fail just to support your narrative, what kind of Charger fan does that? To want the team to fail so you could blame it all on Joey Bosa. Please stop it. This man gave up a $7 million pay cut because he wanted to play another year with Khalil Mack. He wanted to be down with Jim Harbaugh in the new regime, what they got going on. He gave up $7 million to stay. He could have did a Keenan Allen and said, no, I'm out of here. Trade me. I'm not taking a pay cut. And this man has worked hard. And yes, he has gotten nicked up a little bit in these camps, but he's been busting his tail trying to make Joe Alt better. You know, so I think cut Joey Bosa some slack. I'm down with Joey Bosa. And the injuries, it's all a part of the game. The one thing that the regime did, they built depth, and that's something we haven't had in a long time. So we can withstand a couple of injuries here and there, because I believe we have the depth that guys could step in and continue on without missing a beat. And that's my rant.
I love it, Stacey. I mean, I can tell you're passionate. It's I can't disagree with any of it. Like we said last week, I was in the camp of, the group that was wanting to trade Joey after the Jacksonville game. I thought there was still draft value there.
Yeah.
And looking at the salary cap, how things were going to go, just made sense to start doing a little bit of a cap call, so we didn't have to do as much of an extreme turnover year like we had this year. Now that we're here, you've got to put your full support behind the guy. He took like you said, a pay cut to stick around, and it made it in this year makes sense for the reunion between him and Mac to happen, for them to come back together, give them an opportunity to finally, you know, you could call it, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, the prince that was promised. Like it's we want so badly to see what Matt can look like with Joey, and not just that. I want the whole package, man. I want Dupree out there. I want all four of them. I want this whole thing. I want that NASCAR package or Indy 500 package we were talking about. And when he took that pay cut, that's when we got to humble ourselves a little bit and say, hey, it's, you know, they're doing this for the team. That's great. If Joey's willing to bet on himself, I'm willing to bet on Joey. And Ortiz, to his credit, executed this rebuild year better than any of us could have expected. The team that we have on the field for what they had to, for the cost cutting that they had to do, is absolutely incredible. And it gives me so much hope for the future of this franchise, not just in 2024, but in 2025 and beyond. Right. So yeah, was I surprised that we retained Joey? Absolutely. But it's partially because I was very surprised that he was willing to take a pay cut. And it'll be interesting to see if we keep him, because they did increase his roster bonus next year. So there's going to be a major decision to be made. That's going to be, he is going to get expensive again next year, but can they, if his body holds up, do they give him some sort of extension to lower that number? Do he and Mac want to keep this thing going for some time? And how do we, now that we've taken on the cost cutting in 2024, we're going to really find out about Joe and Jim's vision next year, because we're going to have a lot of decisions to make with how we spend this money. And it's going to be very interesting to see. We can keep, you know, people have asked, like, can we get this guy? Can we get this guy? Like, you can get anybody with the amount of money that we have at this point. It's just going to come down to how they envision putting together the core building blocks of this team that will be with us for the next 3 or 4 years, and everything else kind of turns into that, you know, revolving door. Cycle them in, cycle them out.
Special teams get some love today. Special teams get some love. Cameron Dicker's 35 for 38 in camp.
Yes.
Yesterday, he was good from 43, 46, 50, 41, 48, and 45 on goalposts that were half the distance apart. A usual goalpost is 18 feet between the two posts. Now, I don't know if I'm on the 18 feet. I talked with my hands. Anyway, they were 9 feet apart. So they had this miniature or smaller version of a goalpost, and he hit all those field goals through 9 feet of space, vice the 18 that he's allotted on a normal NFL goalpost. J.K. Dobbins had a punt that was in the air for 6 seconds yesterday, which is some nasty hang time. So I'm excited. We were talking about the return game and all that, but special teams is still going to be our special teams. And Cameron Dicker looks like the kicker that was promised, to go off your Game of Thrones there.
There you go.
So I'm excited for that. I just wanted to drop that in there, give special teams some love. Our guys are doing their thing back there.
One more thing before we go. Who we keeping? Is AJ Finley making the team or Tony Jefferson? Really quick.
That was my biggest depth chart surprise, to be honest with you. Because, you know, vets, you normally want to give the vet the seniority with the unofficial depth chart, but they didn't. That might be telling. That's a big deal.
I watched a thing about the depth charts, and I'm not even trying to diminish what Kyle just said, but they say that you just have to take it with a grain of salt. The coaches they don't have any say in these depth charts. Like, it's put out by the PR team, most likely, that during the season, you're supposed to release your depth chart every week. Teams don't even update them. You'll have people that are playing full games that are 3rd, 4th, 5th on the depth chart. So it doesn't really reflect what the team's vision is going forward. We use this as a tool. It's not off season, but, you know, it's ramping up, and teams will just release these depth charts, and it has no indication on where that player's value actually is. And I know a lot of people were freaking out that Ladd McConkey was a backup compared to Quentin Johnson. So that's just something we can take. I don't want to say solace, because it's not like an awful thing, but that's something that you have to think about when these depth charts get released, that it's not they say unofficial for a reason. This is something that we are speculating about. But I do think AJ Finley has earned that 3rd spot, because Greg Roman actually yesterday, maybe the day before, said that he's the 3rd safety on the team.
And that's why I said it really wasn't
about
Greg
Roman, Jesse Minter. I'm sorry.
Jesse Minter, right. And it really wasn't for me. I actually, being honest, I didn't see the depth chart yet. I know that they said, I heard reports that Quentin Johnson is 3rd on the depth chart with receivers, but I actually haven't looked at it yet. But I was going by Minter really praising the play of AJ Finley. And I was like, wow, what does that mean for Tony Jefferson? So that's where that speculation came from. But anything you guys want to close with?
No, I think that the depth chart was the biggest question. I think other than that, we're pretty much good to cruise. And, everyone enjoy this first preseason game. It should be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. With the preseason game coming on, hit any of us up on Twitter. We'll be following along. We'll be tweeting along, Xing along. I don't know what we call it, posting along. Yeah, I don't know.
It'll be some overreactions. If Alt give up a sack, they're gonna go crazy. Or you already see it already. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready to see the young guys. I'm ready for the Jim Harbaugh era to begin.
We're here. We made it. We made it.
Well, that ends our segment today for Chargers Talk 4630. Don't forget to go to stormcloud.blog to check out more content covering the Chargers, as well as other great topics from other bloggers that's on that site as well. We thank you, the viewer, for always tuning in, engaging with us in the chat room with your comments and your questions. We're great with you, but we're nothing without you. If you're joining us for the first time, you like our content, you want to support our community, please don't forget to follow us by clicking on the subscribe button. It is not a paid subscription. It is free. You can also follow and listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to share this podcast with someone who may not have tuned into us yet. And I can't say enough about how much we appreciate you as well as your support. And until then, be safe, be well, be good. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy Saturday's preseason game. And as always, boat up. All right, you guys have a good one, Garrett.
All right.
Stay safe, man.
Will do. Y'all be good. It's nice seeing y'all again.
All right.
Seeing you guys too. Catch you soon.
Y'all take care. All right.
Bye.